What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Christopher Beam with Tactical Advantage, and today we're going to talk about mild boo-boos and hand injuries that you might receive in shooting and how you can use those as an evaluation tool instead of accepting them and wearing them as a badge of honor.
MagTech is the only freedom seed I use on the range. I personally have over 100,000 rounds downrange of MagTech, and it's unbelievably reliable, very accurate, and a great value. Pick some up for your next range trip wherever you shop for range supplies.
All right, folks, so welcome back. So just got home from one of my training sessions. I go about 3 times a week, 250 rounds per session. A couple at an indoor range very close where I work on accuracy, and a couple at the outdoor range where I work on speed. But one thing I noticed today is I got myself a pretty good blister while shooting. And what I see a lot of times on the socials is people will post like an abrasion on their hand, a blister, something like that, as a rite of passage or a badge of honor or something like that, that one, that it's normal, and two, that it should be celebrated. And I don't have an issue with any of those things, but I use them as another path for diagnostics or understanding what's going on in my shooting. And I thought I'd kind of walk you guys through that since it just happened and I'm kind of thinking about it fresh in my head. So got a little boo-boo, a little blister right here on my thumb. I'll put some pictures down below. Not a big deal, but it does tell you things, right? So I could have made a Facebook post going, I got a blister because I shot so much. Well, not really. It was a 250 round session. I blast through those in less than an hour and just kind of go through it and go on with my day and practice the next time. But one thing it kind of showed me today, if you're thinking about those things, is one, the gun's moving around a little bit too much in my hand. And two, why am I putting pressure on the gun with my thumb enough that it's causing a blister or an abrasion? So the gun I was running today is my relatively new HK VP9A1. Super happy with this gun so far. Normally I run heavily weighted and comped variants. This one's bone stock. And I love the way it runs. I love the way it returns. I love everything that's going on. But one thing I noticed, the way I establish grip, if we just look right there with my support hand, my thumb rests on the takedown lever. Not a big deal. But what happens with this gun, or really what's happening with me, is I'm putting in significantly more pressure into that than I should. Didn't impact the accuracy of the shots I was making today. However, it's an indicator that something in my technique has changed because it doesn't happen all the time. And what I kind of deduced from all of that, if we look right here, when I'm inputting pressure with my thumb on that takedown lever, what tends to happen is the hand wants to open up back here. So where I want to put in pressure in this area of the gun, I'm transferring to this area of the gun, and my hand is trying to tell me I'm doing that. The target's not gonna tell me. I have enough trigger control and enough shooting experience that I'm not going to let a small input impact what's happening with the dot while I'm pressing the trigger. But, so I wouldn't normally see that with the target. Maybe under speed, that would present itself to me. But under more slow fire conditions with splits of the 0.3, 4, 5 variety, that should definitely not be happening. So it got me thinking, this is a relatively new gun to me. A little bit different than the HK VP9A0 I previously ran, but there is a design similarity. So in this area, ooh, my light's on. In this area of the gun, they come smooth from the factory. And if you can tell, I'm not sure if you can or not, I run silicon carbide grips. And for me, it's not really a traction thing. It's a feel thing. So I don't know if you guys probably don't know, but I'm a diabetic. I'm getting a little older, and I have some neuropathy in my hands. Some neuropathy from being a diabetic, some neuropathy from abusing the bejesus out of my hands, and hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition fired. But I love it, so we will not be changing any of that anytime soon. But the silicone carbide gives me some feedback where I wouldn't normally get it. So what I did on my older HK is I had a little spot right here where I put some silicone carbide. And that provided me a little feedback or tactile feedback that, hey, your grip is established where you want it. For some people, they might not need something like that. For me, it provides me just a little bit more. So I'm going to be doing that to this, and that'll probably solve my problem. However, even with that, what can happen in your shooting, and it can vary from day to day, you might be inputting pressures differently and not be 100% cognizant of it. It's happening on a subconscious level that you're gripping the gun differently. It happens to me, it happens to every high-level shooter I know, and normally we attribute that to, hey, I'm having an off day, instead of using the evidence being presented to us from the varying places, the target, your hands, how you're feeling about the shots, what your dot's doing, what your sights, how they're behaving, all of these things. So with that said, I thought it made sense to kind of talk through this a little bit with you guys, just to give you an idea. It happens to everybody. Now, the difference is between being more experienced and less experienced is I'll use that as data to understand what's happening with the shooting versus thinking, hey, that's cool that I had done that. And never really progressing, nor understanding why we're not progressing. One of the prerequisites of shooting well is repeatable behavior. And when something changes or something's different, is it the mechanical device, your mechanics, or your technique that are influencing that? Today it was absolutely technique, but one thing that I think might help me realize that's happening sooner is mechanically changing a little something with the gun. So with that, I hope everyone understands. I'm not making fun of anyone that posts their battle scars, right? That's cool, guys. I get it. I have no issues. If you got Glock knuckle that you want to share with everybody in the world, awesome. But I do want you to kind of think through the ideas of everything that's happening to you while you're shooting. If you're getting abrasions here or blisters here or blisters there, what does that mean? And is that what you want? And if it's not what you want, use it as a tool to kind of figure out what in your technique is flawed. So especially for me, I try to not have the gun move as just what it needs to move. Everything else is me allowing it to happen. And I want to be careful. I'm not saying you have to have a flat gun, don't let the gun move. The gun's going to recoil. It's going to do what it's going to do. But is it repeatable? And if anything changes in that process over time, why? Now, I can't tell you the last time I had, a blister there. Is that the gun's fault? Nope. 100% my fault. So with that, I know this is getting into kind of the weeds on technique, but my hope is every one of you ends up being the best shooter you can be. And the only way I can help that is explain to you kind of what I experience and how I go through it and how I approach changing those things. So we're going to try and put that little spot there, which I have put on my other guns, and see if that changes anything. Even if that didn't yield, I absolutely know I do not want to influence or input pressure with my thumbs into the gun. It has virtually no yield for me in shooting. And if nothing else, you're kind of trying to influence the muzzle from the muzzle end, which isn't the best way to go about it. So with that, that's about all I had today. So a quick one, just something that kind of presented itself to me, and I'll show you guys some pictures of my boo-boo. And hope to see you guys on the range. See you next time.